members, we have a quorum and we've reached the appointed hour. This is the biggest subcommittee in history. This is the subcommittee on proposals on methods for selecting the chief executive in 2017. Now is the time for electing the chairman. According to Appendix 4 of the House Rules, please nominate the chairman. The candidate for the chairman and there should be at least one member making the nomination and at least one seconder. And of course, he or she will have to accept the nomination. Mr. Tam Yu Chung, do you accept the nomination? Yes, I do. Any other nominations? Mr. Alan Leong, I nominate Ms. Emily Lau. Any seconder? Mr. Sin Chung Kai. Ms. Emily Lau, do you accept the nomination? Yes, I do. Are there other nominations? If not, then I declare that we will begin the balloting by secret ballot. And please issue one ballot paper and also a chop with a tick. And then the members are asked to put the chop against the member one chooses. Number 1 is Mr. Tam Yu Chung. Number 2 is Ms. Emily Lau. This is a secret ballot, so please do not show the ballot paper to other people. You can put a chop on the paper, on the ballot paper, but you don't need to fold the ballot paper. Zoom 拍完ครับ應該 OK 啦ครับ係啦，咁如果委員已經喺選 If members already put a chop against the name on the ballot paper, I now declare the close of the balloting. And please put the ballot papers into the ballot box. And before you put the ballot paper into the box, please do not leave your seat.係啊，但係佢而家入嚟啊，已經宣布延下。咁而家請呢係提名嘅。Would Mr. Lim Kin Fong, the nominator, and Mr. Alan Leong, also the nominator, please come out and monitor the vote counting process. How many ballot papers have been distributed? 36.
係而家唱票嚇，唔該。
We now read out the votes.
1號
Number 1. 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 Number 2. Number 2. Number 2. Number 1. Number 1. Number 1. Number 1. Number 2. Number 1. Number 1. Number 1. Number 2. Number 2. Number 2. Number 1. Number 1. Number 1. Number 2. Number 1. 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 Number 1.
好，咁我而家宣布選舉結果。
All right, may I now declare the result? Mr. Tam Yu Chung got 28 votes. Miss Emily Lau got 8 votes. I now declare Mr. Tam Yu Chung the chairman elected.
好，首先要多。
First of all, thank you very much. Let us. Well, do you think we need to have a vice chairman? I think so. Any nomination, Mr. Chan Lam? I nominate Mr. Paul Chair. Any seconder, please? Mr. Chang Han Ban. And also Mr. Ho Chun Yin. Mr. Paul Chair, do you accept nomination? Yes, I do. Is there any other nomination? Ms. Ellen Leung. Ms. Emily Lau. Any seconder? Yes. Mr. Wu Chi-wai seconds. Ms. Emily Lau, do you accept the nomination? Yes, I do. Yes, the secretary, please distribute the ballot papers. Are there any other nominations? No. Sometimes there may be an oversight. Please distribute the ballot papers.
好。呢個陳。哦。好，大家都收到。
Have you received the ballot papers? Have you received the ballot papers? Now you can see the number on the screen. I don't need to repeat. This is a secret ballot. Please do not show your ballot paper to other people after you've put a chop against the name you prefer, then you can fold it up. Have you finished? Okay. The clerk will collect the ballot papers.
好，我宣布呢就係投。
I declare the balloting is closed, and no ballot paper will be distributed any further.
唔可以㗎啦，因為我已經宣布咗啦。
幾張選票啊？
How many ballot papers have been distributed? Well, I'll tell you later. You have to tell us now. Now you better put down the procedures. How many ballot papers have been distributed? This is very basic. 39.
好，選票收晒啦，咁我哋而家請。
The ballot papers have been collected. Mr. Chen Kam Lam and Mr. Alan Leung, please come out and monitor the counting process. 39 ballot papers have been collected in total.
咁而家請秘書唱票。
So the secretary, the clerk will read out the votes. Number 2. Number 2. Number 1. Number 1. Number 2. Number 2. Number 1. Number 2. Number 1. Number 1. Number 1. Number 1. Number 1. Number 2. Number 1. 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 Number 2. Number 1. Number 1. Number 2. Number 2. Number 1. 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 We will now double check the ballots. We now have the results. Mr. Paul Chair has 130 votes, Emily Lau 9. So Mr. Paul Chair is now duly elected the Deputy Chairman. Mr. Chair would like to come on to the podium? No. Well, in that case, we'll now move on to our agenda proper. We will first invite the administration to join us. I think we also need to set the dates for our future meetings. The Secretary has suggested 2 dates. Why don't we first of all, circulate the proposed dates for future meetings to members and see whether there are any objections, and then we can deal with it under AOB. Let's not waste any time. What do you mean by circulate that to members? Well, I'm going to circulate the proposed dates for future meetings. So it's being printed. So I think, first of all, we would like to welcome the representatives from the government. We have Mrs. Carrie Lam, the Chief Secretary, Mr. M. C. Yuen, Secretary of Justice, and Mr. Raymond Tam. So without further ado, I'll ask the Chief Secretary whether there's anything she would like to say to the committee. This is actually the first meeting of the subcommittee on the proposals on the method for selecting the CE in 2017. We've just elected the chairman and vice chairman. Let's not waste any more time. Let's see whether the Chief Secretary has anything to say to the committee, and then we will fix the dates for our future meetings. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and good morning, members. First of all, I'd like to thank LegCo members for setting up this subcommittee on the method for selecting the CE by universal suffrage and convening meeting today. For the next month or so, the government will work closely with the subcommittee. We hope that, according to our plan, we would be able to, before the end of the electrical session this year, be able to come to put to the vote the government's proposal on the amendments to basic law. Since Wednesday last week, when the ASR government announced the result of the second public consultation, the community has put forward various views. Of course, such views contained views which are for and support our proposal. We've been working on political reform over the last year and a half. We've been emphasizing that the task or what we do must be complying with the basic law and the relevant interpretation and decision of the MPCSC. Only by doing so can we implement the direction under of one country, two system, and also the SAR government, which is directly under the government, the rule of the central authorities. So the proposed method for the selection of the CE has to follow the basic law and also the decision of the MPCSC and the decision made on August 31st last year. At this point, if there are still people who suggest that the MPCSC should withdraw its decision made on August 31st last year and to amend that decision, or even to suggest or make suggestions which obviously are not compatible with the proposals in the basic law regarding the election of the CE, such as the nomination procedure, I think that would be impractical, and that is not conducive to our, implementing or achieving the goal of selecting the CE by universal suffrage in 2017. I note that there are members from the pan-democratic camp, and those who don't support our proposal have quoted paragraph 31 of my statement to LegCo, and paragraph 31 also appears in 3.15 of the report. And normally, only the first part of this paragraph has been quoted, but I think you need to look at both parts of this paragraph, if I may reiterate again. The paragraph that has been quoted is that, in fact, after the CE is elected by universal suffrage through one person, one vote in 2017, the ultimate aim of the selection of CE by universal suffrage as prescribed in Article 47 of the Basic Law will have been attained. People who quoted this paragraph have used it to say that the SAR government has already considered this to be a positive option, and that once we pocket this proposal, it will be for good. When we I think this is actually contrary to the objective when we make this statement. Let me clarify that I think the heading of the report is about the method for selecting the CE after 2017, and it's not actually part of the second round of consultation. But we've heard people saying that after we've implemented the CE election by universal suffrage in 2017, will there still be room for further amendment? So both in my statement and in this report, we have put in this paragraph which contains two parts and which need to be looked at together. Other than the paragraph that I quoted, I went on to say that regarding the issue of improving the universal suffrage system after its establishment, the provision in Article 7 of Annex 1 to the Basic Law and the 2004 interpretation of the MPCSC already provide a clear basis for initiating such further amendments. So it is obviously there is the room for further amendments to the method for selecting the CE. As well, there is a need for amendment, and initiating the process for such amendment would depend on will be considered by the CE at the time, in accordance with the actual situation prevailing at the time. We also noticed that there have been different opinion polls being conducted on the subject, and regarding the proposal that we put forward earlier on, we noted that the number of people who agree, who think that we should, accept the proposal, outnumber those who don't. But I also understand that there are more than 1/3 of the people who believe that we should reject this proposal. Over the last 10 months or so, when we've been working on political reform, we fully appreciate the subject of political reform is a very controversial topic. The government has already tried its level best, but we have not been able to effectively narrow the differences of opinion. And because of that, I think members present here should take up your constitutional responsibility to make this historic decision. And I'd like to appeal to members here to put aside your aspirations for democracy and your personal views, and to bear the overall interests of Hong Kong and the long-term interests of Hong Kong in mind, and support the present proposal for the selection of the CE by universal suffrage. Thank you, Chief Secretary. We have many members who've already put up their hands, and I'll read out the names. Mr. Wong Kok Heng, Emily Lau, Gary Fan, Alan Leung, Leung Chi Cheung, Lee Cheuk Yen, Frederick Fong, and Priscilla Leung, Ms. Ann Jiang, Starry Lee, Mr. Wu Chi Wai. Have I left out any names? And Mr. Wong Kok Kin. So I suggest that each member should be given 4 minutes. Mr. Wong Kok Heng.
Now, since the administration issued the package, the CSOA, the SJ, and the SCMA, the Party of Three, visited the people and met with quite a lot of confrontations. And then you also adopted other means to communicate with the people. And your sincerity should be commended. And one can see that the government has quite a lot of difficulties in promoting this constitutional package. I hope you will continue to face up to the challenges in the coming 2 months. The time is very critical. People should be informed that it is better to cast their own vote instead of watching 1,200 people casting ballots to choose the CE. This is very crucial and should be made known to the public. Now, visiting the people in the districts is one message. But shouldn't the administration exhaust all the means so that the grassroots understand and that this is their right, and they shouldn't lose their let their rights be lost. We do work through various local organizations to contact the people. Say, for example, work with the OCs, MACs, consultative committees in the districts. Shouldn't you contact the people through these channels? And there are many advisory bodies. Shouldn't these advisory bodies be channels for explaining the matter to the people? Mrs. Lam. I thank Mr. Wong for his support and encouragement. In the past week, different government officials go to the districts, go up the buildings, walk in the streets, and contact the people and explain the package to the people so that people have a better understanding of this matter. This is very crucial to our political development. Whether we can elect the CE by one person, one vote in 2017 depends very much on the work of this time. As for the channels mentioned by Mr. Wong, rather, in fact, we have liaised with the chairman and vice chairman of the 18 district councils. We explained to them the package, and we've got their support. When they go back to the district councils, there will be discussions among the district councils. And we have also made use of the social media and also the mass media. As for the examples mentioned by Mr. Wong, in the future we'll continue to make use of those channels. I think it is very clearly necessary to clarify that we should deal with these specious arguments. Pocketing it first is wrong. Pocketing it for the time will mean pocketing it for whole life. You need to refute these mistakes. Otherwise, people will be misled. Please work harder. And we have a few more members in the line. Helena Wong, Ma Fong Kok, Chan Yun Han, Chung Kok Tan. Who else? Ms. Emily Lau. Now, the people of Hong Kong have been fighting for universal suffrage for several decades. We have come to a point which is very critical. We're one step away, just one step away. The people of Hong Kong want fair competition, an election with real choice. Now the CSRA said that the community is divided. There is a wide gap. Now that has been found in the public consultation. You gave hundreds of thousands of proposals to the NPCSC. The August 31st decision didn't take up any, and you should have known that there was something wrong. The Great Division is caused by C.Y. Leung fending the fire. That is also the result of lack of trust and communication between the central government and the pan-democrats, both inside and outside this council. What have you done? The CSRA has to communicate our aspirations. You ask us to put down our aspirations. This is the aspirations of the people, many people. The opinion polls over decades have shown that very clearly. You ask us to set aside our democratic aspirations. Do you understand these democratic aspirations? And what have you done to make the central government to communicate with the various political parties and in Hong Kong, the people of Hong Kong, so that people have confidence in the central government, so that people have a real choice in the democratic elections? As said by Ms. Emily Lau, our community has spent quite a lot of time, quite a long time on discussing democratic development. In 2003, there was the first round of consultation, and since reunification, this same issue has been repeatedly discussed in the community. Now is the time and opportunity to implement the final, the crucial step of democratic election, and that is to select the CE by about one person, one vote in 2017. If you can't do it in 2017, then, or if you can do it, now answer my question. Now you can see what we have done in the past year or so. We did 2 rounds of public consultation. The views were not entirely unanimous on specific issues. With regard to nomination, there are different views. Ms. Emily Lau asked, what have we done to enhance the communication between the CPG and the opinion representatives of this council, in particular the Democrats. We arranged a meeting in Shanghai and Shenzhen and Hong Kong between central government officials and members of this council, and there was a specific session to enable Democrats to give their views. The authorities considered the views, including their views, and made the decision on August 31st. Now, the August 33rd decision didn't include any of your suggestions. In the first round, we saw that the community generally asked for elections in line with basic law and the decision of NPCSC, but on nomination, people were divided because of the great division. To facilitate a consensus, there was a decision on the August 31st. Next, Gary Fan, I'm a member of the Pan Democrats. I fully know that the CE election package in 2017 is the most crucial motion. We represent the people, we speak for the people, we monitor the government. The primary principle is to speak the truth and be true to our conscience. The party of 3 have no conscience. They just turn the truth upside down. In the first phase, they started to turn the truth upside down. They ignored the people's demand for democracy. They ignored the outcome of the 22nd of June referendum. They ignored the umbrella movement. They pocketed for now, you pocket it forever. This is the ultimate achievement of the provision under Article 45 of the Basic Law. Now, the nomination is full of barriers. The nomination committee is made of 1,204 sectors. They are completely controlled by Beijing, and you must get more than 50% of the vote in order to stand as a candidate. Those who can be a candidate will be scrutinized tightly by Beijing, and those who are candidates are just rotten oranges. They will be rotten oranges who are selected through a screening process. The CSVA said that in the first consultation in 2017, if there can be universal suffrage, then in 2020 the legislative election will also be elected by universal suffrage. But the package proposed by the administration is that the 2020 legislative election will just remain the same. The so-called seize it or make it happen is not the package of so-called make it happen is not real democratic universal suffrage. That is turning the truth upside down, calling black white, and in fact you didn't come into contact with the people. You're out of touch with the people. Now, Lee said that New People's Party, Regina Ip, will be the black horse of the next election, and Ann Chang proposed Christopher Chung to be a candidate. The government's package is that we are asked to choose between C.Y. Leung, Regina Ip, and Christopher Chung. There is no choice among rotten oranges and scoundrels. The New Democrats will certainly vote against the package. I use my behavior and action to show my disgust towards the administration, and I tear this paper to show my dissatisfaction, my disappointment against the administration. You're lying. You ignore the democratic demands of the people, and you ask the pan-democrats to brush aside their conscience and tell lies to the public. I cannot accept that. Have you finished speaking and doing? Next, Ms. Ellen Leung. I believe the CS, FRA, and the SJ and SCMA the executive and the legislature know that that is the alliance of the privileged. Through the CE election and the functional constituency elections, they try to strengthen and reinforce their privileges. The CE will only be elected if he gets the nomination of the 1,200 people who are the alliance of the privileged. Now, this is the reality. There is a privileged alliance. Now, you're just cheating. You say having a vote is better than no vote. The CE elected by one person, one vote will listen to the people. But I want to ask the CSRA, in the future, if there is the election which is restrained by the August 31 decision, if you want to be a candidate, will you ask for vote by the 5 million people or the 1,200 privileged alliance? And the privileged alliance in the past 18 years have shown that they are not listening to the people of Hong Kong. They have selected C.H. Tung, Donald Tsang, and C.Y. Leung. Today's election committee members are future nomination committee members. I will give her a chance to answer the question. But if she continues to cheat, continue to lure, continue to threaten, continue to frame, that is not what is proper for the CS4A. I leave some time to her why we shouldn't vote against this package, which is only one person, one vote in name, and it is not one person, not the real thing. And the CE elected within this system, how can he not show his true colors by begging the votes from the privileged alliance of 1,200 people? As a CSRA, I respect the duty of members who monitor the government, but please do not make unreasonable allegations against officials. That includes the speech of Mr. Leung and Mr. Fan. If the 1,200 election committee and the future nomination committee, it is a privileged alliance. And as a legislative member, you are also one of the 1,200. This 1,200 election committee member and the future nomination committee members will have to comply with the requirement of basic law that is broadly representative, and it has been effective in the past a decade or so, and it has a broadly representative across all sectors. It is to ensure that the CE or the candidate for the CE can represent the interests of different sectors.
Leung Chi Chung, thank you. As far as I'm concerned, I hope the government can try to lobby for the Pen Democrats for their vote so that the proposal could be approved. But having heard what the Pen Democrats have said so far, I'm really very disappointed. Mr. Gary Fan said that the government is lying, and what I would like to point out that recently in the community and including the 3 universities, the opinion poll that they conducted apparently seemed to suggest that Mr. Gary Fan is lying. The results of those polls seem, including the polls conducted by TV stations, show that more than 50% of the respondents support the approval of the proposal for political reform. Even for the 3 universities, 47% of those who responded supported the proposal. Of course, the questions asked were different and the conclusions drawn were different, but one can see that the majority of the people of Hong Kong supported the proposed proposal. As to whether or not people supported universal suffrage, more than 80% said that they would support that. The Pen Democrats claim to be Democrats. They should respect public opinion. They should promote democracy. Then why are they not listening to public opinion and saying that the government is lying? I think they're actually saying that they are lying themselves. They are going against public opinion. They're actually, violating the principle of democracy. I'm very disappointed that the Pen Democrats have resorted to this kind of behavior and mentality to oppose the proposal for political reform. What is clear is that on the many occasions when the central officials were in Shanghai and Shenzhen, and even the CSFA were talking to them, the Pen Democrats were making a show. Mr. Gary Fan also tore up the document on political reform as a show. So the people can see that the Pen Democrats are not serious about will not be supporting what the government is proposing. So I'm very disappointed. I think the CSRA has to do 2 things. First of all, you need to go to the different districts. You shouldn't be afraid of being, harassed because if that happens, it will help you actually win more support. While the Pen Democrats are sticking to their position, but under the pressure of public opinion, I'm sure they will be forced to consider what will be the possible consequences when it's time for the next electoral election. Although 30% of the people say that they don't want political reform, but 30% would not be good enough for them. If they want to have the support of 30% of the voters, I'm sure not all 27 of them will be returned to this council. So I hope the CSRA will lobby these Pen Democrats and ask them to change their mind and bear the interests of the people of Hong Kong at heart. Mr. Lee Cheuk Yen. Chairman, I think the 3 officials are a team which resort to lying and theft, because Mrs. You've actually stolen our right to vote. According to the basic law, the people of Hong Kong have the right to cast their votes and to be elected. Have you taken away our right to be elected? When we do not have a genuine right to make nomination, when the nominations are subject to unreasonable restraint, our right to be elected is being denied of us. So what you are proposing now is violating Article 26 of the Basic Law. That is our right to stand for election. You're lying. You've told many lies. The biggest lie is that you're telling us that one man, one vote can actually influence the future CE. But you've forgotten to tell the people that 1,200 people is actually more important than 5 million people. Mr. Allen Leung talked about the coalition of the privilege. You said that electoral members are part of the coalition. Yes, that is true. We are ashamed of that. We want to give up such a privilege. We don't want to have a nomination committee. What you are now proposing is that the nomination committee, you're refusing to budge as far as the nomination committee is concerned. You're lying to the people of Hong Kong, telling them that the 1,200 people can nominate a candidate. There's nothing wrong with that. But then these 1,200 people already, control everything. And the future CE candidate will really have to court the favor of these 1,200 people. The only thing you've not lied to the people of Hong Kong is what Mr. Rimsky Yuen said. That is, the four sectors in the nomination committee cannot be changed, because once we change that, those among the 1,200 will not agree. That's the only truth that you've told us. But one can see how powerful these 1,200 people are. Even if you want to enhance the composition of the nomination committee, you can't do that. In the past, you told us that you could enhance the nomination committee, but you've now admitted that it cannot be done. You're also, putting a blame on other people. You're asking us to change our mind, but you're going to put the blame on us, saying that if the proposal is not accepted, it's because we veto your proposal. But the people will not forget who are the people who made this proposal such a rotten position. It's the three of us. It's C.Y. Leung and the central government, which came up with the August 31st decision. Resulting in such a rotten proposal which is put before us, and the people of Hong Kong are forced to accept it. We are representing the people of Hong Kong and say that we don't accept this proposal, and you are putting the blame on us and saying that we are, standing in the way of democratic development. We've been fighting for democracy for more than 30 years. Of course we want democracy, but we cannot accept, a fake democracy. We cannot, eat fake milk formula products. Well, you are the ones who have the power to put forward the proposal. So please bear the responsibility that you're the one who actually have caused the present problem. I would like to ask the Secretary of Justice to talk about Article 26. The Basic Law and the International Convention, the right to stand for election, to be elected, and to cast the votes are three separate concepts. Article 26 dealt with the right to stand for election and to elect the candidate. So there is no question of what Mr. Lee Cheuk-yan was saying, that we were lying to the people of Hong Kong. At this stage, if we talk about civil nomination, it would really not be helpful at all. And secondly, I also like to respond to the comment about the nomination committee. On the basis of the August 31st decision, we have to act on the basis of that decision. Let us not forget that in future, members of the nomination committee will have the duty to consider the overall interests of Hong Kong and recommend candidates who are suitable to become candidates for the CE election. They may not make the nominations based on their political preferences. And that is the whole focus of the concept behind the nomination committee. In our report, we have also attempted to enhance the transparency regarding the process of nomination by the Nomination Committee, so that people who aspire to become candidates in this election will have the avenue and the channel. I think the Secretary is lying again. The Nomination Committee is not working for the interest of Hong Kong, for the people, but for their own interest. Mr. Frederick Fong. Article 39 of the Basic Law talks about the IPPCR, and that we can, enact legislation based on the contents of this convention. And the International Covenant stipulates that any election should not be subject to any unreasonable restraint. When we talk about international convention, let's not worry that we're talking about the U.S., because even the People's Republic of China is a signatory to that convention, and the convention talk about the right to vote and to stand for election. The problem is that the Nomination Committee, and I think the CSFA know this better than I do, there are 630 odd members of the Nomination Committee are returned by corporate votes. Of the 1,200 members of the Nomination Committee, they are returned by 270,000 voters out of more than 3 million voters in Hong Kong. So how can they claim to represent the people of Hong Kong? And secondly, the candidates who ultimately will be put forward for as official candidates for election, members of the Nomination Committee can cast 2 + N votes. So if 601 members of the Nomination Committee only vote for 2 to 3 candidates, the 4th candidate can forget about the the possibility of being recommended as a candidate. So I don't think this is in compliance with the requirement that there shouldn't be any unreasonable constraint according to the IPPCR. Mr. Slam, I believe that when you took up your position, you spoke at a university function, and you said that the job of the CSRA is not a pleasing one. You stressed that you would work for the people of Hong Kong. You will go against your own conscience, and if you have to, act against your own conscience, it's not worth the while for you to stay on with the post. Mr. Slim, I've just pointed out a fact. So if you really speak, from your own conscience, what would you have said? Thank you. The reality is that in promoting political development for Hong Kong, we have to stand by certain principles and bottom lines. And such principles and bottom lines are based on the fact that the Hong Kong SAR is not an independent political entity. We are, a district in the People's Republic of China enjoying a high level of autonomy. When the central government, makes its decision about Hong Kong, it has a constitutional duty and the power. And so I cannot therefore act against the Constitution. When I, took my vows, I said clearly that I would support the basic law, that I'll be owe my allegiance to the Hong Kong SAR. So the proposal for the election of the CE, I think, is complying with the constitutional requirement. It is also reasonable, and that's why I believe I can recommend this proposal to the people of Hong Kong, so that we can take a major step forward on the path for political development.
Now the CE visiting the districts, but she didn't listen to the people in Sam Shui Po at the first stop. You switch off the microphone of those who spoke opposing views. You are pushing the people of Hong Kong against the wall. You force people who hold different views to the corner. This is not what those in power should do. Shouldn't you listen to the views of the people? Your time is up. Next, Priscilla Leung. Thank you, Chairman. the government officials visiting the local people, and then there were people harassing them. That was to show that they were in the wrong. The UK, in signing the ICCPR, entered a reservation, and also in the joint declaration, China took over. China said that when China took over Hong Kong, it was an internal matter. It was between Hong Kong people and China as far as universal suffrage or elections were concerned. When you say civic nomination, if you want to go back to history, in fact, in China, they proposed one country, one system. There were proposals not adopted. You keep harping on them. Gary Fan, Li Cheyan are deceiving the people. They are promoting extreme views. They even put up advertisements in Taiwan. August 31 is within the framework of one country, two systems, and the basic law. The proposals made by the oppositions are getting more and more extreme. Beijing has no confidence. You tear Hong Kong apart. You tear the relationship between Hong Kong and mainland apart. Over 20 years or so, I came across more open-minded constitutional experts, and they are disappointed by you all. You are going down the road of populism. You don't care about development. You just mind about politics. You play with politics. You don't want the basic law. You don't want the rule of law. The basic law is hard-earned, and you are going to throw it down the drain. The situation, the restrictions are getting tighter. It's because of your action or behavior. The Occupy Central movement results in more tightened reign by the central government. According to my observation, and also according to officials and experts, they have changed their views towards Hong Kong. After the occupation movement, if we are not aware of the crisis, then it is not just a division within Hong Kong. The nomination committee is asked for by Hong Kong. It's because of one country, two systems. They're afraid that Hong Kong will go down the road of socialism, and therefore there was a nomination committee. You blame the nomination committee. There was no discussion on the improvement of the nomination committee. In fact, you harm Hong Kong. You're harming Hong Kong. If you don't go back to the right track, you're harming Hong Kong. I want to speak to the government and also opposition. The opposition, if the package is endorsed, that's good. If the proposal is not endorsed, Hong Kong is not out of control, and you should not promote this idea. Don't tell people that Hong Kong is in chaos. Hong Kong will be in chaos, even if your time is up.
主席，咁其實咧，我哋今日咧
Chairman, we're all here, the Pan-Democrats, the pro-establishment. We are making a voice for different group of voters. At the end of the day, one side may be louder, whether it is the Pan-Democrats or us. We still have to move forward. Is it good just to stop here? If you don't pass this proposal this year, the opposition will continue to fight until the end. And if you continue to fight till the end, it will bring uncertainty, it will bring an instability to Hong Kong. With those who are able, they can emigrate. But for the grassroots, they cannot. They have no means to do so. Then what? Society is not moving forward. How can we be at ease about it? A few years ago, when Alan Leung was the CE candidate, he said that the most important thing was to have the choice. This time, there is this relaxation. There will be one person, one vote to select the CE. Alan Leung said that that was screening. And if you have a choice, that means there is screening. But he said that was wrong. The central government wanted to screen out those who didn't love Hong Kong, who didn't love the country. The country's demand is reasonable and a modest demand. One is to love Hong Kong and love the country. I think it's just a joke if the CE doesn't love Hong Kong, doesn't love the country. There's nothing wrong to love one's own place. Just now, Alan Leung said that the party of three cheats, and then lure and threaten and so on and so forth. And then the other member also tried to smear the three officials. The three officials which are widely respected by the people. And you have been working very hard, going around the territory to promote the package. Chairman, I just want to persuade or remind rather the Pan Democrats that the contention is in respect of the selection process. If we can pass this endorsement, if we can endorse this proposal, the formation of the nomination committee is negotiable. Mr. Wu Chi-wai. Just now, the CSWA said that society is divided. About 30%, nearly 40% of the people were strongly against this package. Have you ever assessed these people? If we do not pass this package, or if we pass this package, what will be the difference? Have you assessed the difference, whether this package is passed or not, and its implication on the whole community? If have you ever made any assessment? What is your point procedure? Your point of order? What is the quorum of this meeting? 20. I suspect there aren't enough members to make a quorum. We are short of 2. One have arrived. Let's don't waste time. When there is no quorum, we shouldn't continue the meeting. I think this trick is not very meaningful here. Those who have been to the toilet, please come back. We now have a quorum. Let's continue. Mrs. Lam. Thank you, Chairman. At this stage, Mr. Wu should know they were determined and we are sincere. We hope that the package for Selection C 2017 can be passed so that 5 million voters can select the CE by one person, one vote. The demand is very clear, as that has been cited by some of the members. When there is an opinion poll on whether people are willing to see that the CE will be elected by this, the percentage is very high. Whether they support the specific package, there is what Mr. Wu said, more than 30% of the people have reservation towards this package, and they want to see a better package. But our view is that we want to make a step in the direction of democratic development. And then there will be room for further improvement. There will be room, according to the actual circumstances and the demand of the people, to amend the election methods. We've heard that the administration has not made any assessment on the impact of whether the impact on society of whether this package is passed or not. I'm disappointed. We believe that the August 31 framework is a faked election package. We may have to face a lot of pressure in the coming elections, but most important of all, we need to speak the truth, and when we speak the truth, we may have to face the decision of the people in the 2015 and 2016 elections. But we need to speak up. We need to speak the truth, and that is a very important part of being a councillor. We have to speak what we believe. Now, you believe in your own package, but we also have the right to speak up for what we believe. If you ask us to set aside our democratic beliefs to support this package, we really cannot do that. You have not done any assessment, and then how can we make a decision on your package? Your package will only lead to further division, more serious division in society. You say there can be improvement or there can be change, but the then CE will be elected by fake universal suffrage, and how can he go against his own interests? Thoroughly. Well, I find the words of Ms. Priscilla Leung strike a chord in my heart. We have been fighting for democracy. We need to comply with the basic law and the Constitution. You call yourself the Democrats, but the issue is really paradoxical. Now, if you reject this political package, you reject the coming universal suffrage for the electoral, you have no strategy, and you have no specific method to convince people that you can lead Hong Kong down the road of democracy. You are cheating the people. You have not cared about the political reality of Hong Kong. We are not an independent entity. We are the first first SAR under the PRC to have universal suffrage, and you just believe that if you insist there will be a chance for change. Can you really lead Hong Kong people to get the democracy you want? Now, if you reject this, what will you get? Then 1,200 people will select the CE, and there will be no universal suffrage for the electoral, and we don't know when the political reform will be restarted. And the Party of Three has been working very hard in promoting political development in Hong Kong. The development, political development may not be something which you have in your mind, but we are moving to one step at a time. I want to ask the CSRA. Now, there is a chance that the proposal will be rejected. What do you feel about it? If it is rejected, does it mean that that is retrogression in democracy? And if that is the case, then what? Can they really get democracy? How do you assess the situation?
Mrs. Lam, thank you. This time, if we cannot approve the proposal for the election received by universal suffrage, then we will be standing still. Mr. Lee said that the Pan Democrats are happy to see that when we elect our CE in 2017, we will be relying on the 1,200 member of the nomination committee to make all the decision in terms of nomination and election. All 5 million eligible voters should originally have that vote to elect the next CE, and that aspiration will be in vain. So this will really have far-reaching consequences. The public will be disappointed, and this will also, while I personally also agree that we will be standing still if we reject the proposal, we may actually be taking a step backwards. Earlier, we were given the timetable to promote the political development of Hong Kong in 2017. If we cannot approve the present proposal, then whether the next administration will have the political clout to reinstate the 5-step for political development. This time we spent more than 1.5 years and still we cannot narrow the differences. We still cannot come to a consensus with the Pan Democrats so that the political reform package will get the support of 2/3 of the members of this council, and I'm not optimistic that we can do so in the future. Under the circumstances, the result will be that we will be a long time before we can have universal suffrage. So once again, I'd like to appeal to the Pan Democrats again that they must consider seriously that they support this package. Ms. Chen Yin-han, Madam Secretary, I don't think you need to be so agitated. And I think that we're not going to have universal suffrage for LegCo. As someone in politics, I hope that we can really, discuss, public issues through election, and that the voice of the public can be reflected. When we move from having 1,000 people to making decision to 5 million people, then so for grassroots people, for example, so I therefore support what the government is proposing this time. I have looked at the findings of some of the opinion poll, and it's been shown that close to 50% of the people support the package, although 30-odd% have their reservations. So different people that have different views. So from these polls, we can see that if we are going to have enhancements, if the CPG agree to enhance the electoral system in 2017, then the percentage will go up to 60. So I think we need to fight for more people to support the package. Recently, when I went to the district, there has been demand put forward that we should make arrangements for our members to meet with the central officials. Although we've met with the central officials many times, I still support that proposal. So, Madam Chief Secretary, do we still have time to make that arrangement? That's my question. And I don't think the Chief Secretary would need to answer my first question. To answer your last question, of course, we'll be happy to, participate in such work. going forward, although we don't have very much time left, we still need to fight for more opportunities to actually, be in touch with the public, and we certainly continue to do that. Regarding the question of enhancement, in my opening remarks today, I've already reiterated that when we have universal suffrage for the C election in 2017, there is still room for further enhancement. And this is not what I'm saying here, whether we're going to have enhancement or not, but rather I was quoting the provisions in the Basic Law. Article 45 for the Basic Law said that once we achieve the objective of universal suffrage, the method for returning the CE will need to be, provided for according to Annex 1. Article 7 of Annex 1 said that if there's a need to make amendments, then what are the requirements? For example, 2/3 support from members of this council, consent from the CE, approval by the MPCSC. The interpretation by the MPCSC in 2014 also laid down the procedure for the constitutional amendment, namely the 5 steps. Ms. Chen, you should realize that today it would not be practical for us to give any undertaking today, because it would depend on the C at the time. To consider the circumstances prevailing at that time, we need to first implement universal suffrage in 2017 and learn from that experience. We also need to look at how the community, what the community thinks regarding political development. So today, I hope we can focus our attention on the package which has now been put forward so that we can implement universal suffrage, rather than brushing it aside and think about how we're going to amend that package in future. I think the Chief Secretary has not answered my third question. In other words, I think she already answered your third question at the beginning. Yeah. Dr. Eleanor Wong. Thank you. The Secretary query why the Pan-Democrats are happy to that we stay put. I think the Secretary is not in tune with public opinion. You don't even know what the Pan-Democrats want. How is it that we want, Hong Kong to stay put? We've been fighting for democracy for more than 30 years, but the package that put forward is not giving us genuine universal suffrage. Right at the beginning, you asked the Pan-Democrats to put aside our ideals, put aside our democratic principles. You're telling us actually to betray our own principles, accept fate and the political reality. And if we don't accept this, rotten package, we're not going to get anything. But many people have told us that we should not, accept reality like that. Many people have joined the umbrella movement and also, have spoken out. So you said that if the package is implemented, is tantamount to, implementing Article 45 of the Basic Law, that is electing the CE by universal suffrage. So after we've achieved that objective, you said that there's still room for further enhancement. Then my question for you is this. In future, should there be room for further enhancement? Will it still be subject to the constraint of the August 31 decision? If that's the case, we're only talking about fine-tuning. We're not talking about genuine universal suffrage. Madam Secretary, there is still room for enhancement because we have a legal basis for that. And that legal basis says that we have to follow a constitutional procedure. I think Dr. Wong will understand we're now at stage 3 of the 5-step process. In future, when the CE want to, reinstate those stages again and see whether we need to amend the method for selecting the CE, when we come to the second stage, after he submitted his report in the first stage, the MPCSC will make a decision. So today, I cannot speak on behalf of the MPCSC to respond. So you say that there's room for enhancement in future. Well, it's like, the Monkey King being trapped. It's like we can't, get out of the constraint imposed by the August 31 decision. You're saying that that everything is under the control of the central authorities, and I cannot promise or give any undertaking regarding the scope of amendments to be made in the future. I think Dr. Wong will understand that nobody can envisage what will happen in the future, and also how the CE at the time would deal with the issue. Perhaps the CE at the time, when he need to initiate the first step, that he may need to consult the public. Well, Chairman, I think we've heard very clearly that the Chief Secretary will not be able to convince us that there will still be room for enhancement in the future. Madam Secretary, I'd like you to listen to us to why we cannot accept your proposed package, because it's contrary to Article 26, 44, and 45. Article 26 of the Basic Law stipulates that permanent residents of Hong Kong have the right to cast a vote and to be elected. And your proposal already is depriving the voters to make the choice. You're also depriving the Pen Democrats the right to contest, to stand as candidates for election. You've also violated Article 44 because Article 44 doesn't contain conditions that the candidate must love the country and Hong Kong and so on. The Article 44 only said that the Nomination Committee will need to be widely democratic. It doesn't say that the Nomination Committee should actually follow the composition of the Election Committee. So you are violating all the basic laws. So how can we submit your package? Mr. Ma Fung Kwok. Thank you. I think the final proposal put forward the administration may not be exactly like the one that I put forward to the government, but I still support the government's package. I have several questions. First of all, the Chief Secretary said that public opinion will play a very important role. According to we have seen many opinion polls being conducted in Hong Kong on political reform. Overall, the majority of the public are in support of the package, but there are still differences in the findings. So I'd like to ask how the government look at these opinion polls and the role they play in the process of political reform. Rolling polls are being conducted by the universities, and earlier on some representatives of the CMA would not rule out the possibility of conducting some opinion polls itself. So do you have any update for us? How are you going to, quantify the findings of these polls so that the public can make reference of such findings? And secondly, in paragraph 343 and 344 of your paper, you say that if we're going to enact local legislation for the CE election, we have to bear in mind that the CE elected may not be appointed by the CPG. How are we going to deal with that scenario? Now, just in case, hopefully this scenario will not arise, but if the package for political reform is not approved, we will revert back to the original method, that is the CE will be elected by the 1,200 member of the election committee. There is still the possibility that the CE elect will not be appointed by the CPG. So whether our current package is approved or not, the government will still need to deal with that question. I'll ask Mr. Raymond Tam to answer that question. Thank you, Mr. Ma, for the question. On the subject of opinion polls, it has always been a position that we will not rule out the possibility that at the opportune time we will appoint a poll organization to help us conduct a survey. But over the years, we have seen different types of opinion polls, and the public can certainly make reference of the findings of these polls and make their own analysis. Mr. Ma referred to paragraph 3.43. It is true, it is right that the CE election ordinance does not deal with the scenario of the CE elect not being appointed by the CPG. Whether you call this a legal vacuum or not, legally speaking, this is an issue that has to be dealt with. To deal with the problem, we can do so by way of local legislation. As to whether or not we need to do that with that issue, irrespective of whether the present package is approved or not, we are now doing some preliminary work as to how we can deal with that issue. And going forward, we'll come back to this council to discuss with members how we might discuss with that issue. For example, the person who is not appointed by the CPG, could it be nominated again, and so on. We'll certainly come back and talk to members again, about as to how we should deal with that scenario.
Does it mean that you have already appointed some opinion poll institutions doing this for you? They have yet to decide. He said that there are many such polls. He didn't say whether the government is going to do it or not. We don't exclude. Next, Chung Kok Pen. Thank you, Chairman. The party of three go to the districts. The officials go to the districts to gather more support from the people. Public opinions affect the whole scenario. According to current opinion polls results, the support is about 40-something to 50-something%. Recently, they said that if the government can give some undertakings, that support will increase to 66%. That is exactly 2/3. Many pan-democrats say that if support is no more than 2/3, then they will not support the package. But if you give some undertakings, then they can support it. They say that if there can be some promises made, then they can support this. Say, for example, how the next term of the CE can make improvements. And the central government can also give some undertakings. But you cannot bind the central government. But there are certain local legislation which we can do, and we don't need to wait for the next term of the government. If we have a chance to get this package passed, then we can move on to local legislation, though time is very limited. What local legislation can be done by the administration? Can you give any promise on that so as to get public opinion support up to 66% or more, even more? Say, for example, opening up the composition of the nomination committee. Now, the pan-democrats criticize that the nomination committee is just a clique. Now, if you can open up the nomination committee, that they can become more democratic, more representative sectors can be included. Will you consider that? Mr. Chong is right. In the amendments with regard to the 38 subsectors, and also with regard to the sectors, and also methods of selecting the nomination committee members, they are regulated by the local electoral laws. As for the selection of the CE in 2017, our proposal is that there will be no change to the formation of the nomination committee. We have found that there is difficulty of achieving a political consensus. If we are to introduce more controversial issues, that will not be helpful. If we are to introduce more controversial issues, that will not be helpful to implementing the election of CE by one person, one vote in 2017. Now, even if this package is passed, we need to probe into this. We need some time to make preparations. Time is very important. Now, with the election, with the CE elected by universal suffrage, then the formation of the nomination committee it will be the issue, and we can look into that, and we can talk to the subsectors and sectors. The formation of the nomination committee is something which we need to comply with the whole system. It should be favorable to, it should be equal to all sectors, and we should not ignore this principle. The CS4A said that the Pan Democrat is happy to see that the political reform will stay put or would retrogress or even retrogress. One's personal interest and personal ambition has made one ignore one's conscience. Don't frame us. In 2004, my political platform is to fight for democracy, fight for the deletion of functional constituencies in 20. And then in the subsequent term, I also asked to fight for democracy, and now you ask me to set aside my aspiration and people's demand and aspirations, and you now frame us that we don't want democracy, we want stay put, things to stay put. It will go down in the history book that Hong Kong is under a tyranny. And under this tyranny, Hong Kong people is fighting for true democracy. This may be very difficult to achieve, but we adhere to our ideal. But you have dumped your ideal. You're just concerned about China. What you get is continue to maintain the interests of the small circles, continue to maintain this unfair society, continue to maintain the poverty gap, continue to exploit the people. This is your reality. You have already given up your ideals long time ago. You just frame us, you smear us. You say we don't want democracy, we just want to mark time. We come here to fight for democracy. We have got 60% of the votes. You say public opinion, you put public opinion before us. We cannot go against our political platform. We represent the people, and we want true democratic system. And you turn the truth upside down. You say a stag is a horse. Your proposal is screening. It's a faked election. It's counterfeit election. Now you can say that you can call a spade a spade. We are under a tyranny. Under a tyranny that is so far we can go. Tell people the truth. Call a spade a spade. Explain it to the public. You are a mother, and you need to explain to your children why you have to promote an election system which is not truly democratic. And you still ask people to accept it. You still hope people to accept it. How can you explain it to your children that this is real democracy? Where is your conscience? You set aside your ideals. You continue to maintain this unfair society. I so want to live. I'm a father. I have to teach in the university. I have to tell my students that they need to fight on. They need to fight for their ideals. Yes, under a tyranny, under this undemocratic system. Although we represent the majority, we may not be able to get what they want, but we will not give up. Don't smear us. Mr. Charles Mock, I heard the words of Ms. Priscilla Leung. I said that I feel that they blame the victim, the Chinese government tighten the rein because we asked for freedom. It is our fault. It is our responsibility. If we want to get confidence from the central government, then we should let the government to tighten its rein harsher and harsher. And a socialist country is most afraid that Hong Kong is going down the road of socialism. That's really absurd. I can tell the majority. I want to speak to 60%, 70%, 80% of the people of Hong Kong to vote for political reform. But this is not this so-called political reform. Your political reform will not get 60, 70, or 80% support of the public. Now, as for the pro-democrats, originally they claimed that 60, 70, 80% supported the administration's proposal, but when they looked at the actual opinion surveys, they said that there were 40 or 50% supporting the administration. They just ignore the remaining 40 or 50%. They ignore the majority. The analysis by Leung Chi-Chang is interesting. Less than 40% people strongly oppose the package. Could not be decided. The votes could not be divided enough among our 27 people. But will the 40% odd people supporting the package are enough to be shared among your 40 odd members? I thought it isn't enough, but finally I found it enough because 22 of the pro-establishment were elected uncontested. Therefore, they have enough votes to share around. The present package doesn't get the support of the majority. There is no consensus in community. Don't tell us there is consensus and put the blame on us. If we support the package, we go against the wish of the people. People feel that there is no absolute majority supporting the package. You should not try to get our support, but you should try to get a package that can be that is real, that can be passed by this council. As for the first condition, the formation of nomination committee, after working on it for more than 2 years, she said that there is no time to make any amendment. You are asked to hand in your homework. You cannot do it like this. As for 2 or 3 candidates, the election committee, I know the procedures through and through. I know how they play the game. You really cannot. If you have only 2 or 3 candidates, you are able to control. You are able to manipulate the outcome. If you want to make an improvement. You really the 50%, more than 50% vote by the nomination committee is uncalled for. You really don't need that threshold. Even if the conditions are very tight and they can manipulate, we don't accept the August 31st framework, and we don't want any package that can allow manipulation or control. Time is still there. I hope you work hard on that. Next one, Kok Tin. Thank you, Chairman. I find Mr. Mok's words very interesting, how people can control the nomination committee, and if there is time, how they can manipulate.
個方案裏邊邊啲唔合理，邊啲合理，我覺得已經即係講到大家都冇，即係好。
I think it's a waste of time. Things have come to this stage. It's not the time to discuss these things. Those who intend to vote against political reform should explain to the voters who supported them. Does it mean that rejecting the package will lead to more democracy? How can they achieve true universal suffrage? In 2017, there will be 1,200 people who not only nominate the CE. Now the present proposal is a nomination committee of 1,200, and then the candidates will be elected by one person, one vote by several million people. But if you reject the package, then 1,200 nominate the CE and elect the CE, which is more democratic. People can see the difference. And if you reject this package, when will be the next political reform? Can you tell people? Next time when there is the restart of the political reform, will not the August 31 framework disappear? And it's very simple. I hope the CES foray can explain to the public in the publicity campaign that this is not hard to understand. Don't just stand on moral high ground and say that I want true democracy, true universal suffrage. The so-called referendum on the 22nd of June was screening. A dozen or so academics screen out various packages and just give three package to the people and let people vote on. This is screening.
The Pen Democrats who was involved in screening are now objecting to screening. This is ridiculous. So I think we shouldn't really go too far. I hope that the Pen Democrats, before you vote down the proposed package, please tell your voters what will be the consequences if you vote down this present package. We all know that Mr. Chung Ting-yew is a person with strong political inclination. Any polls conducted by Mr. Chung, I think it's been reported in the newspaper already that the outcome of the poll depends on the question you pose. I'm sure those who are involved in opinion polls will know. In a proper opinion poll, you ask people whether they support the passage of the package for political reform. Dr. Chung Ting-yew asked people whether they support, political reform. Supporting the I also support the approval of the package, Mr. Chen Chi-chin. What Mr. Wong Kok-kin had said so far, I think he was only right in the final point he made. You cannot trust opinion polls. So don't, talk about fighting a war on public opinion with us. I think the logic of the officials is very, very muddled. I like to point out the most serious flaw in the logic. That is, if we do not support the fake universal suffrage, it's tantamount to supporting the original method for electing the CE. So what kind of logic is it? Originally I said I want to murder you, but now I've changed my mind, I want to rape you. If you do not support, me raping you, does it mean that you support my murdering you? Is that your logic? Mrs. Carrie Lam said that we, or electoral members, are part of the privilege. The People's Power all along have objected to the small circle election by the 1,200 member of the nomination committee or election committee. We refuse to exercise our right to make nominations or be elected. So don't, say that we are part of the privilege view, and that if we reject the president package, we support the old election system. Mrs. Carrie Lam said that members have actually distorted what you're saying. Members are saying that what the government is now proposing is very likely to actually be with us for a long time. You told us that I would say that there's a possibility that the system could be further improved, but you're not able to tell us, how possible that is. Of course, one shouldn't say never, never. Even if the Communist Party can collapse, so there is a chance for change. You keep lying to people, say that you're willing to compromise, but by saying this, if the people is being cheated and in the end your package is approved, that then the credit goes to you. I think you said that we cannot change the method for, changing the composition of the nomination committee. Carrie Lam said that it's difficult to arrive at a consensus. If that's the case, then you say it is hard to arrive at a consensus. Then it would be best that we stand still and don't make any changes at all, because we won't be making any mistakes. That is your logic. I think that has been your mentality over the last year or so. And finally, Chairman, we will be discussing that we conduct a public hearing to listen to public views. I hope the Chief Secretary and 2 secretaries will at least have one of them present at those public hearings, so that people who attend the public hearings will be disappointed. During the last 2 rounds of public consultation, the so-called fake public consultation, only the Deputy Secretary and civil servants were present. So what do you mean by zero distance? We provide you with a platform. We spend the resources to invite the people to come and express their views. Obviously, those who objected to the package do not represent public opinion. Those who obstruct, who stand in the... So, Chairman, I hope when you arrange for these public hearings, please accommodate the schedule of the Chief Secretary and the other policy secretaries, and also do not clash with the other meetings, so that we won't end up in a situation that we don't have a quorum. In fact, we don't actually have a quorum already now. Claudia Mo. I think what is most horrible are hypocrites. Mrs. Carrie Lam has come here and asked us to put aside our democratic ideals. Let me say this to you. My democratic convictions, whether I'm right or wrong, is not something that is convertible like the foreign exchange. We cannot simply change our position as public opinion changes. I think there are fundamental principles. They're not really moral high grounds. Whether something is right or wrong, something is black or white, what is the difference between a deer and a horse? We all know very well in our mind. What you're telling us today amounts to 2 things. First of all, because we're under a totalitarian regime, they are now punishing us very gently if we do not obey, then we will be punished more severely. You're talking about the Stockholm syndrome. They're making you hostage. Why don't you fall in love with your kidnappers? And you're actually speaking on behalf of the kidnappers. And this is unacceptable. I think all this will be recorded in history. The so-called public opinion, you claim that you're willing to discuss and compromise and to talk to the people. The foreign correspondents are asking, saying that your Chief Secretary went to Chengshawan and the public housing estates, went to the Lai Chi Kok MTR station. Well, how come you reporters don't know beforehand? Well, that's the fact. Well, that's because they're worried that the reporters will attract too many people. As a result, it would upset the whole PR, strategy. This is really ridiculous. Your so-called zero distance is simply a show. And you have the FTU and the DAB, building the platform for you. The foreign correspondents don't know Chinese. They cannot read all the messages on Facebook. They cannot track what you do. What do you mean by public opinion? You are saying that if there is a slight enhancement, then more people will support your package. What do you mean by enhancement? You know, changing the number of required votes from 600 to 601, or changing it from 601 to 602, and you call it a drastic enhancement. You say, no, adding one vote is not enhancement. Why don't you make it 610? Or should we, scrap the requirement that the candidate should love Hong Kong and the country? This is not provided on the basic law. You ask us to put aside our democratic ideals. What are we doing here in this council? We are here to monitor the performance of the government. We are not here to be your accomplice, because you're just the puppets, of the Beijing government. So what you are saying today is really shameful. You are totally disregarding the welfare of the people of Hong Kong, both the present generation and the future generation. Okay, your time is up, and our meeting is scheduled to finish at 10:30. So before we close, I'd like to first of all deal with the timetable for our future meetings. The clerk has already come up with the proposed schedule, which do not clash too much with the other meetings. We are planning to hold a public hearing on the 16th and the 23rd of May, which are both Saturdays, because according to past experience, we do need to allow more time for that. Chairman, the meeting for the 5th of May clashes with the education panel's visit to the Institute of Education. I hope the clerk can tell us, give us the details of all the activities that members have to, attend. I think all members have already, enrolled for that visit to the Institute of Education. Helena Wong. Yes, I've also enrolled for the visit to the Institute of Education. Of the 6 slots, 3 of them already clash with the PWSC, the Food and Health panel, and the Subcommittee on Columbarium. So are you saying that we should not attach so much importance to political reform? Or are you saying that we shouldn't attend those other subcommittee meetings? I think we should really find some slots where everybody would be able to attend. Because according to your list, I would not be able to attend at least half of those meetings. Well, that cannot be helped because very often meetings tend to clash. The Secretariat already tried their best to avoid any such clashes. If members have this visit on the 5th of May, perhaps we can scrap the one for May the 5th. Some members have suggested that we shouldn't meet at 8:30, so we've already tried our best to avoid the 8:30 slot. Chairman, I think if 8:30 is not suitable, then why don't we meet at 6? I don't understand why members don't want to attend 8:30 meetings. I think it has been reported that you've already agreed with the government as to when we'll go back to the full council. Have you come up with such an arrangement? If that's the case, you should tell us. That's not my idea. It was Mrs. Carrie Lam who told us that she hoped by late June we'll be able to endorse the resolution, past resolution. Chairman, I don't think we should, work according to her, aspirations. I think we should be discharging our own duties independently. I don't understand why we can't meet at 8:30. Who are the members who find it difficult to attend 8:30 meetings? Is it because they cannot wake up so early? Well, I try my best to accommodate as many members as possible. Mr. Wong Kok Kin. Well, we have a large quorum for our meeting, so I don't think we can accommodate everybody. Chairman, why don't we circulate a list and then pick a slot where most members are able to attend? Otherwise, if we accommodate A, we cannot accommodate B. it will be a waste of time to discuss this further. Well, this subcommittee has 60 members, so it will not be possible for us to accommodate 60 members. Anyway, we'll try our best, and let's fix the day for the 2 public hearings. And as for the other meetings, we will inform, we'll consult with members, and then officially inform you of the dates. As to when the government would like us to go back to the council, that would be a decision for the council and also pending our progress. So with that, I think we may now adjourn our meeting.